Salamat po sa mga taong nagbabahagi ng salita ng Diyos sa social media. Lagi ninyong sineshare yung mga homily namin dito. Salamat sa inyo. Baka hindi ninyo alam, yung binabahagi ninyo na salita ng Diyos ay nakapagbibigay ng liwanag sa isang taong dumaraan sa dilim.
My dear brothers and sisters, more than paying taxes or the separation of church and state, our gospel today is really about images and inscriptions. The Pharisees and Herodians asked Jesus, "Is it lawful to pay the census tax to Caesar or not?" And Jesus, asking for a denarius, asked them, "Whose image and whose inscription is this?" And when they said, "Caesar's," Jesus said, "If the inscription and the image is Caesar's, then this belongs to Caesar. Give it to him. But if the image and inscription is God's, then it belongs to God. Give it to God." My dear brothers and sisters, that question of Jesus is a profound question that we should ask ourselves. Whose image and whose inscription? This question answers the reality of who we are and who God is to us. Whose image and whose inscription? We all know that we are created in the image and likeness of God. And so we bear the image of God. We have the inscription of God because He created us. And so whose image are you? Whose inscription is in you? If the image and inscription belong to God, then you and I belong to God. We have to be given to God. Unfortunately, my dear brothers and sisters, while we bear the image and inscription of God, and we belong to God, there are people who allow themselves to be owned by the world. Nagpapaangkin sa mundo at sa mga bagay sa mundo. Nagpapaalipin sa mundo at sa mga makamundong bagay. While we bear the image and inscription of God and we belong to God, many times we also allow ourselves to be enslaved by other people. We allow ourselves to be owned by others. But let us not forget whose inscription, whose image is in you. If the image is inscription are of God, then you do not belong to the world. You do not belong to anyone else. You belong to God. In our first reading today, Saint Peter warns us, be on your guard, not to be led into the error of the unprincipled, and to fall from your own stability. Be on guard, and always be reminded of who you are and whose you are. You know, many times we think that other people, we own other people. But let us not forget, if the inscription and image are of God, then even other people belong to God. Husbands and wives, do not tell each other, you belong to me, akin ka. No, you tell each other, you belong to God. No, parents, do not tell your children, anak lang kita, akin ka. No, they are not yours. They belong to God. They are just entrusted to your care. They are not yours. They belong to God. Public officials, those who serve the military, the police, they could not say that they are my people. No, they are not your people. They belong to God. We priests have always be reminded that you are not ours. We will never say, they are my people, my parishioners. No, you belong to God. And people, lay people, please do not say, that is my priest. Akin yang paring yan. No, we do not belong to you. We belong to God. For the moment we think that others belong to us, that I own other people, we will be manipulative. We will be dominating and abusive. But if we always keep in mind that we belong to God and we are simply entrusted to each other, then we will be more caring and responsible towards each other. Whose inscription and whose image? My dear brothers and sisters, let us always remember, you are not what you have. You are not what you do. And you are not what other people think of you. You bear the image and inscription of God. And so you belong to God. We are His children. Let us allow God to own us, to take hold of us, to keep us, and to love us. When Mary visited Elizabeth, and when Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, according to our gospel, the infant in Elizabeth's womb leaped for joy. And then Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, and she said, "Most blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." This is something mysterious. Elizabeth saw Mary, but Elizabeth did not only see Mary. Elizabeth saw what is in Mary. Elizabeth saw the baby in the womb of Mary. That is why she calls Mary most blessed among all women, the mother of my Lord. And Mary, in turn, gave praise to the Lord, as we also heard the Magnificat in today's Gospel. Nung pinuri siya ni Elizabeth, nung tinawag siya ni Elizabeth bilang ina ng Panginoon, hindi nakita ni Maria yung papuri para lamang sa kanya. Na-divert niya yung papuri at binigay niya sa Panginoon. That is why she sang, "My soul proclaims the greatness of the Lord, because He has looked with favor on His lowly servant." Mary saw what is beyond the physical. Mary saw how the hand of the Lord is working in her life and in the life of human history. My dear brothers and sisters, like Mary and like Elizabeth, let us learn to see beyond the physical. When we look at the person, when we look at another person, do not just focus on her or his physical traits. Look deeper. Look into the person. Look at what is in the person's heart. Look at what is running in the person's mind. Look at the reason behind her smile or the reason behind his tears. Look at his successes and failures. Look at her tears and laughter. And when you see beyond the physical, when you see what is inside, you will be able to understand and love that person. Kapag mananatili lamang tayo sa nakikita ng ating mga mata, malamang panghuhusga ang maibibigay natin. Pero kapag tiningnan natin yung nangyayari sa buhay ng isang tao, kapag mas malalim yung ating tinitingnan, kapag inuunawa natin, maiintindihan natin siya. Kaya natin siyang unawain, pagpasensyahan, at mahalin. My dear brothers and sisters, when Mary visited Elizabeth, Elizabeth saw beyond the physical. And when Mary received praises from Elizabeth, Mary saw beyond the blessing. Let us learn from them. There are things that only the heart can see. And so when we look at another person, let us not just use our eyes. Let us use the eyes of faith. Let us use the eyes of our heart. Mary and Elizabeth, like what the prophet Zephaniah tells us in our first reading today, saw God who visited His people. May we also see God in the many events of our life and in the different people that we encounter every day. Look not only with your eyes, look with your heart.